Welcome back to the YSN studios. I am Mike Ackelson along with Steve Leslie and Anthony Hartwig here for the Joe Dickey Electric Scoreboard. Week 9 in the books. Yeah, there was a lot of lopsided games, but boy, we had a couple come right down to the wire, Steve.
Yeah, last possession games, no doubt. Some good ones, some tough losses. That poor Liberty team played their hearts out, and a tough break for the turnover touchdown there. And obviously, Crestview gets a big win in overtime. So some great endings. Boardman played a great second half, but come up short as Fitch hits the game winner field goal. So 3 games that came down to the wire. Hope the fans enjoyed it.
Oh, it was a fantastic night. Fun to watch from there. Typical night at the office for TC Caffey. The Hubbard back, 236 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns. One of them was 78 yards.
Yeah, he continues to do that thing, and that sets it up. You know, we've talked about it now, Mike, for 9 weeks. It's here. Hubbard is going to go to South Range, and very interesting football game in my opinion. I think it's a lot of talent on the field, and we'll be talking about that one all week long, no doubt.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's the one that we hope nobody overlooked. And they both got off to a little bit of a slow start tonight, but they were able to rebound, get things going on there. Probably the team I'm most happy for tonight is Louisville.
No doubt.
I mean,
shout out to
the
community of Louisville, the coaching staff, and those kids that, let's be honest, fans, play hard every week, practice hard every day. That was fun to watch and see them get their first win.
Yeah, absolutely. Leopard Nation, you earned that one tonight.
Absolutely.
It was a nail-biter at the end.
Yeah,
but
the Alliance has beaten some good people throughout the year, so it's a good win for them, too, in a big rivalry.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll run down the scores real quick. I think the big thing as we look at it now, though, Steve, teams position themselves, set themselves up pretty well for where they're going to be heading into Week 11.
Right.
And that's the one thing I think we'll talk about tonight. As we talk, Fitch with a walk-off field goal winner against Boardman 17-14. Campfield continues to roll along. They're 8-1. They beat Howland 42-14. Salem, it was close, but they beat Canton South 35-32. Steubenville beats Mooney 35-14. In overtime, Crestview 44-38 over Champion. Southern all over East Palestine tonight, 63-14. Brookfield falls to a very good Garrettsville-Garfield team who improves to 9-0, 31-17. Hubbard all over Niles, 48-13. That could be the loss that keeps Niles out of the postseason.
Yeah, that'll be the one that hurts. It was a game that I thought they needed to win, and unfortunately weren't able to. Hubbard gets the big win. So, Niles, in a must-win situation next week.
Oh, absolutely. Springfield just took care of business as usual. They shut out Jackson Milton 55-0. LaBrae over Liberty. This was a great game, 41-34. LaBrae fumbles at the goal line, 4 minutes to go. Liberty's driving, turn the ball over, and LaBrae turns it into a defensive touchdown with like 23 seconds left. I mean,
big play after
just
big
great
play.
game.
Yeah, big game. And we talked off air about that when you're looking at a young Liberty team would get a ton of points with that win if they could close it out. Now they go to play Garrettsville-Garfield next week, who's undefeated, so it does not get easy.
Yeah, not easy for the Leopards. Columbiana and Latonia were postponed. Louisville, as we mentioned earlier, beat Alliance 28-27. Beaver Local continues to roll along. They improved to 7-2 as they beat Martins Ferry 49-18.
Yeah, it was fun to listen to Michael.
Yeah,
call the touchdowns for Dad, and they've been that team that ever since we went for the primetime show, and they got off to that slow start. They were injured. Now they're starting to come back. Hats off to the Beaver Local community and that coaching staff and those kids for a phenomenal regular season, and hopefully they can get the last one next week.
Oh yeah. Lowville just continued to roll along. Game got tight for a little bit, but they blew it away in the second half, 56-28 over Middle Ridge. West Branch, now this is interesting. They did shut out Minerva 77-0. They're undefeated. We know who they play next week. We had 99 touchdowns on the audible call tonight that we showed live. West Branch had 11 of them. They scored 11 touchdowns in the game.
It is – Canton South put up some points. It was Salem looking ahead.
Yeah, I mean –
To be determined, I think.
Yeah, to be determined, but this West Branch offense, they are legit.
I think what hits me with them, and you said it during the show, is so many different guys that can do it out of so many different formations, and it's a talented football team.
We're going to play dime. Okay, we'll run it.
We'll run.
Oh, we're going to stack the box. Oh, we're going to throw right over the top.
Yeah, they do a very good job of finding the soft spot in a defense.
Yeah.
And when they need to run it, they can. I think that's the key for me, that they can run the football when they need to. I think their defense has gotten better here the last 2 or 3 weeks, and that's going to be key for them when they make their playoff run. They're going to play some people that will be able to put some points up on them, but people are going to have a hard time in that division slowing that offense down.
And it's a good offense. They're fun to watch. Newton Falls wins a great one over Camel, 29-22.
It's a great game.
That game went down to the wire.
Two teams that didn't have the years that they want to have. That was a fun game for us to watch. Went down to the wire, and hats off to Newton Falls for getting a big win on the road.
Yeah, so absolutely good to them. The other thing, you got Jefferson falling to Poland tonight, 35-7. Western Reserve all over Sebring, 56-22. South Range, they're perfect, 9-0. They beat Lakeview 49-10. Struthers beats Girard 31-12. United, this is another team that I think is peaking at the right time.
You know what? You watch them, and it's not real flashy, but they play good defense. They know how to manage the clock. DJ does a great job. They can run the football. They can throw it a little bit. That's another one of those teams I think that in our area gets kind of left under the radar a little bit. That's a good football team.
Yeah, they are. And, that division they play in is tough.
Yes, it is.
But that's not a team that if you take them lightly coming into the postseason, they could make you pay. Their final was 35-6 over Lisbon. And Cheney falls to Harding tonight, 35-26.
And that was one that the scores, Cheney was going in and turn it over and score, and then Cheney scores and a kick return for a touchdown. But Cheney plays hard. They did. They scored late and tried to get the onside kick. Warren Harding, watch out for. They got some athletes. I think that's another team that the record doesn't maybe show how good they are, but I think that's a team that can win some playoff games.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. I mean, we know Cheney's going to go for 2. You make your 2-point conversion, all of a sudden that's a really, really tight game. And those 2 swing plays, the defensive turnover, the kickoff for a touchdown.
Those are big plays for high school kids
today. McDonald's game was, originally, but they scooped up Greenville, Pennsylvania.
Right.
Went across the state board. They lost tonight, 49-35. Matthews shut out Wyndham, 42-0. A couple scores from over in Pennsylvania. Grove City beat Hickory, 20-7. My alma mater, Slippery Rock, beat Sharon 35-33, and Newcastle in a thriller over Blackhawk 22-21. There's your finals. That's where it sets up. Caffey was fantastic tonight in his game.
You got Romo.
Yeah,
Romo's on. Right. Come on in, man. You got to see another good game from TC.
Yes, sir. TC Caffey, another game over 200 yards on the ground. Benny Wilcox, I believe he was over 100 yards. And then Landon Bates really showed out for Hubbard tonight. Doesn't get the ball too much because Hubbard doesn't throw the ball too much, but they put him in some wildcat formations today. And, I mean, it was kind of like Landon, welcome to the party. I mean, he had a great game, reached the end zone a couple of times. He had over 10 carries. I know it was over 100 yards. A little shaky still on the stats. But, yeah, actually, we went to Chipotle after the game, and there's a guy in some South Range stuff, and he's saying, hey, you're from Hubbard. I was like, yes, sir. I mean, everyone's pumped for the battle already next week. I can't take the smile off my face. I'm just excited.
Well, I'm going to talk to DJ. I think we should have dueling announcers next week. When Hubbard has the ball, you guys get to do it. When South Range has it, we'll let those guys do it.
Hey, I mean, we'll see. We got 7 days to prepare for whatever DJ wants to do. I know we have prime time next week at South Range. I'll be there. I'm sure I'll be a little bit outnumbered, but I'll represent fairly well. It's going to be a great time. And Jamie and I were talking about it. I mean, this is arguably the biggest game in the history of the NEA conference so far. I mean, this is only the 3rd year for football, but I mean, geez, what a matchup next week that we have. Hubbard South Range. Gonna be a great one.
Well, you got 2 defenses that play very well. I think both defenses fly under the radar because of the offensive guys.
I think whichever defense can hold down the big back in the backfield has a good chance. And I think the quarterback play obviously becomes huge. But, you know, with Caffey, he's that guy that can hit a home run all the time. Dylan's the same way. So the winner to me in that game, who could limit the big play? Who could limit that 60 or 70-yard run and make either team drive the ball 70, 80 yards for touchdowns, I think is the key. But the NE8 and for our YSN fans, you know, it's going to be a great week on YSN. Obviously, we're proud to be a part of both schools. It's going to be a great week for us. But the Hubbard community and the South Range community, I wanted to see what you felt. Enjoy it. You don't get many chances like this to both be 10-0 and do these types of things that you're doing. I wanted to see what your thoughts on that. You've done this a long time.
I'll be honest. You've got both teams 9-0 going into this. The only thing that would be fitting, and this probably wouldn't be good for their heart rate, would be if this game gets to overtime next week. I think it would be fitting.
Yeah, I think it is fitting. I think two coaches that do a very good job year in and year out for both programs. I don't think those two coaches kind of get the credit that they deserve to get. Everybody, you know, expectations are so high in high school football around here. When you have a down year, you don't know what you're doing. These two guys, year in and year out, put good football programs in their communities, and it's going to be a packed house. There's no question that those two teams will be ready to go. And again, me and you talk about the athletes on that field in that game next Friday night are stellar.
What do you feel? I mean, you heard what we think. What do you think?
Well, first off, I want to take a moment, give a shout out to Antoine Gardner from Niles, sophomore running back for them. He broke off a couple big runs tonight. I think he's going to be a name that everyone's going to start talking about in the years to come in the Valley. He's a big bright spot for that Niles team, but looking forward to next week. I mean, it's going to be a packed house, probably going to be a sellout. The excitement's already starting to build. I mean, let's be honest. The excitement has been building since South Range beat Poland a few weeks ago, because everyone looked at the schedules of these two teams and said, hey, I mean, there's a real possibility of two undefeated foes going toe-to-toe for the NE8 title. And it'll be interesting how momentum sways for both of these teams going into the playoffs after this week. I think that the winner, both teams are going to have a little bit of momentum in a way, because the winner of the game's obviously going to have that 10-0 regular season. They're going to be flying high into the playoffs. And for the loser, this is going to be their first taste of defeat. So this is the first time they're going to be really punched in the mouth. And hey, wouldn't you rather have that first loss come in the regular season than in the playoffs?
I agree with you 100%. If I want to lose, I want to lose to a Hubbard or a South Range and prepare myself for the extended weeks of the playoffs. I just think that it's so talented. I can't say enough about either running back. Dylan and TC do such a great job. And that's a great call on Gardner. I've called his name a couple times on the things I do. That's a talented young man. And, you know, let's be honest, Niles has maybe not had the year that they want to have, but that's a team that's got some good young players that'll be coming up.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And Jamie and I noted it on the broadcast. A lot of their skill players are sophomores. So that 10th grade class is going to be very, very good for the next few years. And who knows, Niles, and next year, the year after, they could be making some noise in the NE8 as well. The conference could be wide for years to come. But yeah, I mean, I'm really excited for the game.
He is. He's ready to go already. Look at him. He didn't even bring us Chipotle though. How about that?
Yeah. What's up with that?
And here's another thing to note.
Here's another thing. He's dodging that question.
Yeah, we gave you a lot of love on the audible call tonight. And then you totally just shut us out of Chipotle. Like, okay, whatever.
Hey, next week. I'm sorry.
Next week.
I smothered that Chipotle in like 5 minutes.
There you go.
Starving. But to touch on about losing a game in week 10, so Jamie had some things going on. He couldn't be able to get on with me tonight, but he would be able to vouch for this. His senior year in 2018, Hubbard was 9-0. Week 10, they play Youngstown East. And Youngstown East came into Hubbard and defeated them on senior night and ended the perfect regular season. But Jamie will say that is honestly the best thing that could have happened to that team. Because that's the first time they faced adversity all year. First round of the playoffs, they beat Indian Creek. Next week, they go to Boardman and beat Steubenville, which, I mean, we all know how good Steubenville is. And then they eventually bowed out to Girard in the regional final. But like I said, whoever loses that game next week, they're going to play with that chip on their shoulder heading into the playoffs.
Oh, I think both teams are going to play with a chip on their shoulder. I mean,
Sure.
you look in their respective regions, looking ahead. There's no off weeks once the postseason
No,
ends.
those are two talented regions that, what do they call that, big boy football?
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to find out real quick.
And you guys actually, Richie and I were talking about earlier yesterday about that trip that we took down to Zanesville with Springfield in the state final 4 last year. You guys have been with us for some of these big games. Hey, if one of these teams makes another run, we might be taking another trip deep in the playoffs.
Oh, I'm all in for that.
I'm all in. I was also up in the booth with you guys when Springfield ran the trick play last year, and the excitement that you guys had on that call and everything. And you turned to me real quick. You're like, "Is this the greatest thing you've ever seen?" I'm like, "It's right there. It is right there as far as high school football."
Hats off to both of you guys for doing what you do. Keep doing what you do. Enjoy your week. And it's nice to have some guys on the Hubbard side of the Hubbard South Range rivalry.
Yeah. Hey, we know our backs are going to be against the wall next week, but hey, we're gonna keep our heads high and we're gonna come in swinging.
All right,
come in swinging, but make sure your text next week to all these guys come in hard.
Yeah,
don't back down to them. Don't let Jeff Bezos get the best of you.
I don't know what that was, but hey, it's okay. We got a whole week to prepare. We got a whole week of fun anticipation, and it's gonna be
Mike. Let's just say.
Friday.
Like the rivalry at YSN has begun.
Yes. Yeah.
For those that don't know everybody and how we roll here, there's going to be an interesting week for some of our younger workers at YSN.
The guy sitting across from us, Anthony, he's going to talk some smack to you.
We got Anthony, Betos, DJ, Paul, then you got Jamie and I. But hey,
there you go. Well, you better battle your own ground, my man. Me and Michael sit back and watch
We're going to enjoy the text battle next week.
That's it.
And we'll be the referees. If we got to throw dirty laundry, we will.
All righty.
Thanks,
some
buddy.
rest. All right.
Glad you enjoyed your Chipotle. We're hungry.
Yeah, people don't understand. It's both communities will be electric.
Oh, well, and it starts now.
But I like what he said. The loser doesn't put their head between their legs and.
Well, he's got a valid point, because if you're Dan Yeagley or Brian Hoffman, and
is there a better game to prepare you for that?
Right. But if you lose this game, when they walk into that locker room the next morning, you've got their full attention.
No doubt.
And I often think that sometimes that is good for teams.
I agree with you, and I think, does anybody prepare you for the playoffs than facing one another?
No. I think that's a great game to go in.
How many better backs will either team face than a TC Caffey or Dylan Dominguez?
Right. And the way I look at it is, some teams hit that week 10, we have so-and-so.
Right.
We don't really have to play hard. And maybe you don't, but then all of a sudden, once you take your foot off that pedal,
you're in trouble.
You're in trouble.
We got Billy and Quinn on.
Billy and Quinn. They had an interesting one.
They had an interesting game.
Look at this guy.
Look at this. Look at the pose. Which side of the battle will you two be joining next week? Will you be on Hubbard or will you be on South Range? Because it's going to be epic on our little text message group.
I think you got to tune in to Friday's Power Hour to find out where we're going to be at. So a little plug, but it should be interesting.
Yeah.
I won't be surprised on who wins.
How about the game you two call? Heartbreaking, I guess, is a good word for Liberty. Me and Mike were talking. You look at Liberty, you play LaBrae, and then you have Garrettsville next week. If Liberty can pull that game out, they're probably into the playoffs. Now may have to beat an undefeated Garrettsville game. Talk about that ending. The talented young quarterback at Liberty is going to be a phenom for a lot of years.
DC Farrell is the real deal. Now, he's a freshman, so he made some mistakes on the interception, and obviously the fumble, the scoop and score at the end. But DC is a problem, and my guy's got escapability powers that is next level. I mean, really next level, looking like Marcus Vick out there. Maybe not Michael Vick, but Marcus Vick escapability. It was incredible, and he can throw the ball, and he's got good vision down the field. He's got great playmakers all around. Liberty's a good football team. Now, the record may not show it, but that Liberty team has gotten better each week throughout the rest of this regular season.
Well, we had Gary Niddle in the studio with us, and Gary teaches at Liberty, and he was like, "This is going to be a game, guys." And Steve and I kind of looked at him like, "What? Are you serious?" And all of a sudden, like, he was right. I mean, it was a ball game. And he said any of the kids that are in his classroom were super focused all week. They were ready to go. And I'll tell you what, Liberty's got a bright future ahead of them.
Yeah, they do. They got some tremendous talent on the edges. They got playmakers for days. They got big boys. LaBrae's been able – they beat up Brookfield's front seven, and they couldn't get any type of push on the big boys up front for Liberty. They had a guy – what was his name?
LaBrae Wilson.
LaBrae Wilson was 6 foot and 300 pounds, and then that guy, he couldn't be moved. He was just in the backfield anytime he felt like it, and LaBrae had a big problem trying to run through the tackles.
But we loved both of you guys did a great job on the calls on the game. Billy, your scoop and score. That's the most impressive part to me. Yes, they get a turnover, but the run my man makes for the touchdown is very impressive. Take us through that.
Cameron Rabel, senior at LaBrae, just right place, right time. And I think I've already got some text messages. Was he down? Was he not down? Was DC down? Not sure. What I do know is he wasn't down because they didn't say he was down. That's about as best as I can tell you. And Cameron Rabel just picked it up, and it was like the big boy's opportunity to finally get into the end zone. You know, he doesn't score much. He's an offensive lineman and defensive lineman, so the senior got a chance to just shine. Oh boy, did he!
It's another great week. You two had a great call, and Mike and I will be curious to sit back and watch this friendly rivalry through YSN week this week, and I'm sure we'll hear from both of you two real soon.
No doubt. Thanks, Steve.
All right. They're crazy.
They are.
But that's the fun of working at YSN.
This is what makes it great.
We represent every school. We love every school, but
it's
everybody here went to a high school somewhere or roots for someone. That's why you do what you do. Yeah. Me and you, we could sit back and my Cardinal Moonies, I'm not, but they're going to play Urson. I'm going to tell you right now. Yeah, it will be a game. You've done that. They will play. What that game means. Yeah, it doesn't throw the records out. Gary Niddle, we'll see you. Thanks for your help, but that's a tough loss for Liberty.
Yeah, absolutely. Heartbreaking.
It might be a playoff elimination.
Yeah, it could be.
When you beat them and it doesn't really matter what you do this week.
Now, speaking of guys that probably had a good night, the main man, the boss.
Get him on here.
DJ. Tell us about your game, man.
Well, first off, I apologize for barging in. Apparently, when I jump on StreamYard, it just lets me in, no problem. So I apologize for that.
It should let you in.
You own the company. You get to come on whenever you want. That's just the way it works.
I hate doing that because you guys are in the middle of sentences, and all of a sudden you see the ghost
coming from
Steubenville.
How was your game? I mean, we were obviously a tough situation.
Yeah, I mean, first off, Steubenville is a first-class organization, top to bottom. I've never been to Harding Stadium before. What a treat that was. It was a college atmosphere, guys. I mean, it was, if you've never been there, you don't understand it. But yeah, I mean, the Cardinals started off slow. And the only real life they showed was after the break, after halftime, they came out and scored, on that first drive. And I think that was all they had left in the tank. And, that's a very good Steubenville team. Very good Steubenville team. But that pretty much, other than the Ursuline game next week, that pretty much puts a nail in the coffin for our Cardinals this year. So it's unfortunate, but, you make the schedule. So if you win that game, you're in the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely.
We had some great games.
DJ, we had a lot of fun. We showed walk-off field goal from Fitch. Keegan McDermott from Champion. 49-yard field goal to force overtime.
99 touchdowns. So, wow. All right, you're the owner. And I said, we love every school YSN. I know you will shout us out on this. Shout out to the Louisville community, those players.
Let's go, Lex!
They get a W. How nice is that?
Let's go. That leaves one team
One
without
team.
a win,
Right.
and that's my Bulldogs.
I know,
And we
but we root for that. There's nobody that works harder than Louisville, those kids and those players. It's a shout out. But I want to ask you, it's here now. You could say, yes, South Range, yes, Hubbard. We have fans on both sides. How special is this week going to be?
Oh, it's going to be unbelievable. I mean, it's week 10. We are official. I guess we're not officially because we got 3 games
Right.
tomorrow, but we're officially onward to week 10.
Right.
And, here at YSN, I mean, we talk about it. We talk about football for 6 months out of the year, and it's a challenge. It's a monster. But this is what it all comes down to. There's so many playoff spots that are still up for grabs going into week 10. And that's what you play for. That's what you train for. That's why we do what we do. The excitement's awesome. I got to hear Romo. Don't you worry, Romo. And I can't look at you right now because I'm driving. But pitter patter, let's get at her. Let's go. It's going to be the Raiders and the Eagles. And I mean, there's going to be a few bumps during that game, I would imagine. But on top of that, you got West Branch and Salem. West Branch stringing up 77 tonight?
Yeah. Mooney Ursuline, which records don't matter. Boardman Campfield.
It doesn't matter.
There's a lot of them.
I mean, like, whoever puts these schedules together, it's almost like they know. They know what's going to happen 10 weeks away. It's crazy. And I mean, like, South Range versus, and I know I'm a little bit biased for South Range and Hubbard and the NE8 because we're so close with them. But reality is, boys, that's a headliner game. There's going to be a lot of lights on that game.
Well, that was the one thing I wanted to ask you, and I thought Romo brought up a good point. Probably since the NE8 came together, the biggest game in that league.
I mean, there's a couple that I can think of. There was
Right.
Pole and South Range last year. It was early on in the season,
Right.
but it dictated everything, and
Right.
there was
But
a lot
this
of
one
weather with that.
dictates it all.
Yeah, this one. I mean, you couldn't draw a better script. You couldn't write it up.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. But again, you look at next week, Ursuline and Moody. I mean, you don't think Moody's going to show up for that game?
Oh, they'll show up. Yeah. Boardman
showed up
was
for
down
their
14-0
rivalry
at
game
Fitch
against Fitch
goes
tonight.
down to a game-winning field goal with no time left. So there's so many teams. You said it best. We'll have it on YSN all week. The playoff situations. There's so many. It's hard to even say right now.
And here's the thing is if you're going, and there's going to be a lot of media hyping around a lot of these games. If you're going anywhere else, and I promise you, the Hubbard boys are going to be on hand in South Range. They will be in that booth at some point, whether it's throughout the game, whether it's we do a handoff, whether it's at halftime, whatever it is. If you're a high school football fan, you're not tuned into YSN absolutely free with real people, real communities, you can offer a beer after the game on you.
I love the banjo music.
Is the excitement around these teams.
Yeah, there's no doubt it'll be exciting,
What?
Mike. And no doubt.
You're just breaking up a little bit on us, DJ. You're probably down in a valley.
sorry,
or
guys.
something. Nah, you're fine. The thing I look at, and I was teasing Romo earlier, I said we could have dueling announcers. We could have one of each, and you flip-flop during the game, just to see how it breaks down. Or we send 2 crews.
Okay, so we'll send 2 crews, but we're getting the YSN suite, and they can sit on top of the stadium.
You're the boss, man. You get the final calls.
Home field advantage.
Home field turf.
Home field turf, man. That's the way it
This
works.
is going to be a fun week. There's no doubt about it.
I said I can't wait to see the barbs in our text messages.
Yeah,
just going
these
back
will
and forth.
be.
We'll have to control Munson, though.
Oh, he's in control. He has to be a PA announcer.
That's right. He's under control.
No, I mean during the week in his text messages when he sends 12 of them at like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Oh, today at 4:30, I was ready to throw somebody.
Well, you just travel safe home,
Yeah.
and we'll see you back here at the studio shortly.
All right, boys, save some beer cheese for me.
Okay.
It
It is. I think nothing sets this game up better.
There's so many good games next week.
Yeah.
And obviously that one takes to
It's
the
the
main
headliner.
attraction, but
It's the headliner.
Salem
but,
and West Branch on a
Yeah.
Saturday is Salem will be ready to play no matter the struggles that they've had.
yeah.
You get a chance to knock off your rival that's undefeated, you'll be ready to go. Coach Johnson will have them ready.
Oh,
And there's
absolutely.
another situation. They're both in the playoffs. So loser of that one doesn't get hurt.
No.
Maybe drop a few positions, but who's your most impressive win of the night?
Guys, I got some stats from Western Reserve.
All right.
On senior night, David Altier broke the Western Reserve record for most rushing yards in a game. 337 yards on 15 carries, 6 touchdowns.
So can we go David Altier? Shout out to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know what? We better shout out his O-line because
Yeah.
obviously they were doing
They did
something.
their job.
They
tonight.
did their job. Congratulations, young
Now-
man. That's a
Aaron Moser also said Noah Frederick was also part of that tonight.
Noah
So I'm not
Noah
sure.
Frederick
also.
for Sebring. Let's see. 2 touchdown run. He didn't put his whole stats. He just
that's
put
okay.
his
But
stats.
shout out to both
Yeah.
of those guys. You can do that on senior night at home.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the way to go
There's a
out.
team. You talked about them. They're playing better.
They are.
They can run the football, and Altier's that guy.
Mhm.
Don't sleep on them in the playoffs.
I'm telling you, I love, you look at some of these regions, and I can't wait till they're updated to see where we're
Yeah, I
sitting.
just looked. They're not up.
They're not
yet.
updated yet, but like we knew that had tonight been the first night, it was
They had a
Fitch
lot of
Harding.
matches, yeah. How good would that game be?
And you got
When Harding beat him last year.
Yeah. you got Canfield Hubbard sitting in position for home games, eking their way,
Yep.
maybe to a home game.
Yeah.
That would be big.
Did you ever think that would happen after the South Range
Yeah.
game? We were talking that you hope they get to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Now they got a chance if they can win to get a home game.
Well, I remember at one point we said they cannot afford to lose a game, but if they lost a game because of COVID,
Right.
that could have been the final nail. And now you look at what they've been able to get going, and I'll tell you what, that linebacking core led by Nick Colosimo,
They're playing.
they play.
They lost to
get you.
good teams. I mean, they lost to a one-loss Canfield team and an undefeated
Yeah.
South Range team. So
Yeah.
and a very good Hubbard team. So
Yeah.
another don't sleep.
Their 3 losses are against quality opponents.
Big physical that
Yeah.
can handle themselves in
And
playoff form.
You look at Canfield, 8-1 going into the final week
Big
of the regular
physical.
season.
Showed that against Fitch. And
And-
Fitch comes out today.
And we talked Brock Lowry. He can run, he can pass. They've got running backs, they've got multiple weapons.
I think I agree. I think their window's there for them to get better. I
Yeah,
really do.
it is.
The last 2 or 3 weeks, they've gotten big leads, they've gotten guys some rest. I'm sure that has to
It helps.
be huge for them.
It helps. But you know that starting week 11,
It's go.
it's go time. Now, some of them, like South Range, because of how high they're sitting, Springfield, they may get to a point where they can pull back. But some
Everybody
of these,
else is in games.
yeah, you're sitting there. If you're in that anywhere from 5 through 12,
You're playing somebody.
you're
that's
probably going to play a full game from there on
against
out.
somebody really good
Yeah,
in a lot of these divisions. I mean, you said that Division 3 is
it's Murderers Row,
South Range's division with Kirtland
Yeah.
and
Garrettsville.
Garrettsville.
You look at that and you're thinking,
LaBrae
wow.
with South or Springfield. A lot of good football teams and a lot of potential wise and
Yeah.
matchups, I guess I want to say. I don't want to read too far into
Nah,
that, but
I mean,
we do this because we want to see
Yeah.
teams go like we did last year and go travel with them.
Yeah,
I think we have those opportunities. I really do.
we do, and some things got to shake out. But I'll tell you, a team I don't want to see in probably Division 7. There's 2 of them. I don't want to play Lowville, or I don't want to be against JFK.
And with the win tonight, Lowville might have secured a home game.
I think
They were
Lowville
sitting at
does
8.
get a home game.
Yeah.
They were sitting at 8 coming into tonight.
How good have they been at home?
They've been
Other than the Springfield game, which
well,
was
Springfield, and
a learning lesson for them. Let's be honest.
and they want that Western Reserve game back.
Sure they do.
They left some points out in the field.
There's
and it
some
cost
great. Week 10
Just-
doesn't get any better.
them. And Liberty, like your heart breaks for them because you know what they're up against.
I think it hurts for me the most because 16 teams, they're a playoff team. I don't care what they finish at. If they lose, that's a playoff team.
Yeah.
With that kid at quarterback, they can hurt you. That's a playoff team.
You got a first-year coach in Joe Simon.
Did a great
guy.
job.
He's done a
Super.
fantastic job.
Super.
You have a freshman quarterback.
Yeah, like Max said, he's going to make mistakes, but he's also going to hurt you
At any given moment, he can tilt the field.
That's the hurt of the night.
Yeah. I just know we got to check on Paul Munson's shoulder because every time South Range scored, we got to tilt the camera.
You got to tilt the camera.
So I'm worried about it. Like if he threw that shoulder out tonight.
He's the PA announcer next week, so we're good.
We can ice it.
It'll be such a fun week, like you said, for you and I to sit back and just watch all this.
We should have multiple cameras up next week to show everybody. Hey,
facial reactions.
Yeah. We'll get everything.
That's at Crestview. That's a huge win for them. When you look at the playoff stuff with them, Crestview's a huge win.
Yeah, and we're gonna know early. Like once the new
Joe comes out with them, you'll know. But
I mean,
I think a lot of things tonight. We have a lot of teams that will be in.
Well, and there's some teams that are on the bubble. You look at Niles. You look at Struthers.
Right.
They're probably going to have to.
Yeah, now Struthers plays Poland in the last game. That's not an easy matchup there. So this was the one you wanted to win tonight against Girard to get those points.
And it probably gave Girard enough to.
But let's be honest, Struthers and Girard. There's another. I mean, Struthers and Poland. And Struthers kids will be ready to play. There's no doubt.
They're not going to back down to those Poland kids.
They've beaten them before. They'll tee it up. Great action next week.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. I know we know what that big game is, but the rest of that schedule is going to play out. And there's some teams in there. They're fighting for their playoff lives. Newton Falls, another win would really help them.
How nice would it be to play South Range and Hubbard on Thursday night?
Yeah,
where everybody could watch it.
Or Sunday morning.
The Sunday morning, 9 a.m. from London.
Noah Frederick, 172 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Noah Frederick. So how about the running in that game? Both of them, shout out to those guys.
And both offensive lines. I mean, they did their job. So we love that.
It's week 10, and we're ready to peel out. If you want to do the scores,
we will.
One more time. And
we'll run down here for you real quick. We do appreciate you, folks.
Absolutely. I love doing this with you. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, this is a blast.
This is a fun, and we talk a lot we'd love to get a lot of people on, but let's be honest, fans, high school games have gotten longer.
Yeah, they run a little longer. It's tough.
Teams are on buses. And you don't want to interfere in those things. Anthony and DJ and those guys with our shows all week will have a lot of these top performers on. So DJ put it best. If you're a football fan and you can't get enough of YSN, then shame on you.
Yeah, this is the place to be next week. I just want to tell everybody.
Shame on you.
Be at YSN. There's going to be lots of football coverage. Top secret information. Just want to let you know, okay? So here's our scores. Austintown Fitch goes into Boardman. Walk-off field goal win, 17-14. Canfield continues to roll on, 42-14 over Howland. Salem gets back on track, 35-32. Sets up their matchup with undefeated West Branch. Great rivalry game next Saturday night. West Branch won, by the way, 77-0. They are the top offensive scoring team in the state.
I think they protected those numbers.
I think they did all right there tonight. I think they're going to be okay. Mooney lost to Steubenville 35-14. Crestview in overtime against Champion 44-38. Southern 63, East Palestine 14. Brookfield falls to Garrettsville Garfield, who's perfect.
1-31. Shout out to Brookfield.
Yeah.
They played that game pretty hard.
They
pretty
did.
Tough.
They were down
24, and they had it to, I want to say, 31-17 with the ball.
Yeah.
Shout out to them.
Yeah.
That's another team that's a playoff team, in my opinion.
Yeah, and they're in Division 6 with LaBrae.
Right. That's another one of those teams that play a lot of people.
So Hubbard continues to roll along. Perfect.
Who do they play next week?
Somebody said South Range, I think. Yeah, I think that might be the matchup.
We have that game, I think, right?
Yeah, YSN. Yeah, both family members. Yeah.
Right.
You may want to tune in.
Yeah.
Jackson Milton shut out by Springfield 55-0. Liberty, heartbreaker to LaBrae, but kudos to LaBrae. They found a way to win that game.
Yeah, you have to give them credit, Coach Amini.
Credit.
They made the play and scoop and score. Absolutely.
Yeah. 41-34. Alliance, they fall to Louisville. Congratulations to them, man.
Shout out
Very
to them,
happy for those guys.
Congrats to all of you.
Yeah. 28-27 as they get that win. Beaver Local, 7 straight wins. They take care of Martins Ferry 49-18. Louisville, winner over Middle Ridge, 56-28. Camel falls to Newton Falls, 29-22. Poland, 35-7 over Jefferson. Western Reserve, 56-22 over Sebring. They're playing some really good football right now.
Look out.
And South Range, they beat Lakeview, 49-10. They got a pretty big game next week,
Yeah, I
don't
think
they?
it's at home, too, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be a place to be.
Probably be some stuff on YSN about both of those schools.
Yeah, it might be a packed house.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm going to tell you what, if you're not doing nothing, you might want to get your ticket tomorrow.
Yeah.
Just out of
Or
curiosity.
whenever they put them up, you better get
they
it.
put them up, you better be in line.
No doubt.
You better know somebody.
Should we buy some extras if we can and then put them on the side for people that are going to want to get in there?
Yeah.
Or make them listen to us?
Yeah. We'll see what we can do there. Yeah. Gerard, they beat Struthers.
It's a good win for Gerard.
31-12. Yeah. That's a nice win.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think
their schedule doesn't.
No.
You don't appreciate their schedule until
you look at those two teams.
You played Hubbard, you played South Range,
Poland. Yeah. It's not an easy. And Jefferson's in
Jefferson.
There. Yeah. It's not an easy
Niles,
schedule.
Who's played with people.
Yeah.
That's a good. The NE8's a great league.
It's a great league. And United, again, another team that
Fighting
I think
BJs.
speaking at the right time. 35-6 over Lisbon. Harding beat Cheney 35-26. McDonald, their game was canceled, but then they picked up one against Greenville, but they fall 49-35. And Matthews shutting out Wyndham 42-0.
Come on, give me your PA.
My PA guys, I got
PA guys. You got to take care of your PA guys.
Grove City, a winner over Hickory 20-7. Slippery Rock beat Sharon 35-31. That's a good battle over there.
That's a big rivalry, isn't it?
Yeah, that is a big rivalry. And then Newcastle in another big rivalry beat Blackhawk, who's just across the border.
That's not far from one another, right?
No. 22-21.
So you had some old school rivalries in PA.
Some nice rivalry
All right,
games
so here's my question. How many field goals did we? It seemed like every time we had a red zone, we had field goal tries. We've had field goal misses, 49-yard makes, game winner.
Missed extra
One
points.
of the best nights for the audible call on YSN, in
we
my
had
opinion.
fun. 99 touchdowns tonight. That's
Shout
our
out
best
to Anthony Malone and Gary Niddle being with us, and obviously Eric and Anthony Hartwood with what they do.
Yeah,
Also, Edison, I want to give them a shout out. They weren't on the network tonight, but they won 33-21 over Buckeye Local.
There you go.
There you
Edison,
go.
another one of our
Edison.
teams.
Thank
Exit
you.
out with that tonight.
There you go. Thanks for joining us. We're glad you tuned into the Joe Dickey Electric Scoreboard. Join Steve and I. You in next week?
I'm at Indiana State next week, but I'm going to be calling in.
That's
I'm at
fine.
the hotel calling in. I got to get in on all these pranks
You
with
got
everybody
it.
next
There you
week.
go.
Absolutely.
Join us next week for week 10 of the high school football season. We'll have the audible call for you at 7 o'clock. I know Anthony and I will at least be here. We'll get Steve on some way, somehow. And then we'll have the Joe Dickey Electric Scoreboard, and we'll get you ready for the postseason after
Absolutely.
that. Somebody said there might be a big game or two. I'm going to go look at the schedule and see if I can find them.
Yeah.
We'll see you next week.